over the years, I've had the opportunity to drive this guy around a little bit in Chicago and listen to the great work and commentary that he's had, and just sit back and listen and watch the work that he's done. And you heard me say earlier today that we would have a special in-studio guest, and his name is Greg Palast, P-A-L-A-S-T. Greg is with us this morning, but a little bit about Greg. I mean, and I'll give you this as sort of an overarching statement about Greg. You know, when you say, gosh, I'd really like it if somebody would do a movie or a story or cover a topic in a certain way, that's what documentarians do. They put together work that we should see on subjects that oftentimes we don't know about, but if we do know about them, we want to know a little bit more. And the dedication and the vision that documentarians have is unique. And Greg Palast has that, and I want to welcome him to the show this morning. Welcome to Choose Views, Greg.
My face is red. I'm so embarrassed. Thank you. Thank you. That's nice.
Well, it's the truth. I mean, you know,
thank
folks,
you, Richard.
You're absolutely welcome. It's good to have you here at WCPT again, and thank you for being part of my show this morning. So Greg's making the rounds, and if I have things correct, you were up in Madison this past week.
I will be in Madison on Thursday.
Okay, I got my dates wrong.
At the Barrymore Theater, the big Barrymore Theater in Madison, I will be showing my new film, Vigilantes Inc., America's new vote suppression hitmen, and then I'll be. Just want to warn everyone, you and Reverend Jesse Jackson is inviting you down to Rainbow Push headquarters on Monday. That's this coming Monday, the 21st.
Right.
And
just so you guys know, Rainbow Coalition is located at 930 East 50th Street, which is the corner of 50th and Drexel.
6.
And it's going to be, what time we're doing hand signals in here? 6 p.m.? Is that right?
Yes.
All right. It's going to be at 6 p.m. next Monday, the 21st. That's the beauty of live radio, y'all. It's just, you got to do what you got to do. It'll be next Monday at 6 p.m. at the Rainbow Push Coalition location at 930 East 50th Street, which is the corner of 50th and Drexel. Not too far from where I live, but yeah. Man, it's so great to see you again. But equally important, the work that you're doing is when I press pause in terms of a work like Vigilantes, I also have to say, let's go backwards a little bit.
Sure.
Because you've had some phenomenal other documentaries that some people may not know about. Mm-hmm. So take a moment, Greg, and talk about some of the other work that you've done going back 5, 6, 7 years that we've known each other.
Well, okay. So for those who don't know Greg Palast, I am and have been a reporter for BBC Television. And so you don't get to see me because when I wanted to report real stories, I had to leave the country, and I moved to London, worked for BBC Television. And I was also an investigative reporter for The Guardian out of London, The Guardian newspaper. And I started late in life in this biz because I was 2 decades an investigator, Detective Gumshoe. And
he's got the hat to prove it.
And I got the hat to prove it. And the fedora, for those who see me on TV, I got a fedora. And so my main, people ask me my main influences, Seymour Hersh. I say, no, Columbo. And so I came out of, I cover a lot of topics. I went to the University of Chicago, got my degree under Milton Friedman. Are you ready for that? Yeah, that little fascist dwarf. Oh, did I say that? Excuse me. But I apologize to short people. But they're not responsible for Milton Friedman. It's not their fault. But no. I went to work for them. I'd work for the labor unions of Chicago, like the Meat Packers Union. Remember Charlie Hayes, who founded the Congressional Black Caucus? Anyway, so after being a detective and working on big stories, I found American newspapers weren't covering them. So I said, I'll write the stories myself. And that's when I had to go into exile and work for The Guardian and BBC Television as an investigative reporter. But one of my big beats for the last 20 years has been what we politely call vote suppression. Now, vote suppression, now, if someone takes your car, you don't say, my car has been suppressed.
No.
But you say, my car has been stolen. So we use the polite term vote suppression. And when I was lecturing at Harvard, someone asked me to define vote suppression, and I said, effing black people out of their vote. And I said, can you say that at Harvard? So you just did.
Taking that's a great way of putting it, rather than it just being, my car got suppressed. That might be, if you get your tire flattened, your car, the ability to use your car is suppressed until you get the tire replaced. But when your car has been taken, your car has been taken. Yes. So kind of merge that thinking with voter suppression, as you said.
Yes.
Like that, you said, it's a soft word.
Yeah, I do say. I mean, the film is called Vigilantes Inc., America's New Vote Suppression Hitmen, mainly because if I said anything else, it'd be banned from the U.S. airwaves. Seriously. And so for 20 years, I've been covering removing black people from voter rolls, stopping them from voting. Most people don't understand this topic. I'm front page, top of the nightly news in the rest of the world, but not in my own country. I'm front page on the big papers all over the world, except in my own country. And this is a difficult thing. So like in 2000, I'm in London and I'm watching all these black people come before cameras. And this was a time when BBC was the only station that would show black people other than criminals.
Yeah.
They're not
in other than negative light.
Yes, exactly. So they're saying black people are coming before the BBC camera saying, I couldn't vote in Florida. In my conspiracy nut head, I was actually a conspiracy expert for the U.S. Department of Justice, just so you know. So I'm an expert. And so I said, I wonder if there's a computer program picking out black people and removing them from the voter rolls. I get 2 discs from the offices of the Governor Jeb Bush and his Secretary of State Katherine Harris. And sure enough, I got 2 discs, the computer program removing black people. And they weren't guessing. It says BLA next to every black voter's name in Florida. That was the law that you had to put down your race. And still, only recently it was removed.
Right.
And so I saw they targeted roughly, in number grew, 58,000 black men were removed from the voter rolls, supposedly as felons not then allowed to vote. Not one, and I want to emphasize this, their only crime was voting all black, because not a single one of the 58,000, not one was an illegal ex-con voter. Not one. And so, but George W. Bush won the presidency of the United States by 537 votes, not allowing 58,000 black men to vote, including like this one guy, Willie Steen, who was a Gulf War veteran, worked in a hospital. You can't have a felony conviction, work in a hospital. But he was matched with a white guy from Ohio who'd been convicted of a crime named Willie Osteen, different name, different race, different age, but they wouldn't let the veteran black man vote. That was the first of those investigations. That's how George W. Bush became president, by his brother eliminating black people from the voter rolls. And I thought that would be one story, it'd be called out and it would stop. It was like accelerated. Some people blame me for giving ideas to Republican secretaries of state and the GOP, but this continues on. And that's why, so I've been doing several films, including, I wrote a best-selling book called The Best Democracy Money Can Buy. And it included the information about the theft of the election in Florida by removing black men. And the games just continued on. So I did a film called The Best Democracy Money Can Buy. And there was a program called Interstate Cross-Check. And
what was the guy's name?
Chris Kobach. And he's the Attorney General of Kansas now. And this guy is Donald Trump's chief fraudulent voter hunter.
If there's a person that would be appropriately receiving the word czar, try to drop border czar on Vice President Harris, Kobach is the Republican, henchman czar for messing with votes.
And in fact, Trump appointed him in his first term officially as the head of this vote fraud hunting commission.
Right.
Well, he doesn't find, basically, this guy Kobach combined with 29 other Republican state voting officials to remove voters who were voting in two different places. Mm-hmm. So every time they found Jose Garcia, they said, this guy Jose Garcia, he's voting in Arizona, he's voting in Texas, he's voting in Georgia. Now, you might say, Jose Garcia, one guy, James Brown, was supposedly voting and I'm not making this up, they said he voted 238 times in Georgia. Now, you might say, Richard, well, James Brown is just a common name. Not for a Republican. So they used this gimmick, and they knocked off about 900,000 people off the voter rolls, named Garcia and Brown and Johnson. And
I'm sure there was some Jacksons in that as well.
Plenty of Jacksons.
Plenty of Jacksons.
Actually, it was a whole Jackson 5. I actually counted there was like 127 Michael Jacksons that they removed, and not all of them could moonwalk. But so we actually, but that is how Trump got elected in 2016. That's what elected him, not the voters, but this trick. Now, I have to tell you, I combined with the NAACP, Black Voters Matter, other groups, ACLU, and we actually got that program quashed. So there's no more cross-check program to eliminate supposed double voters who don't exist.
Right.
And but every time I turn around, it's whack-a-mole, yeah. Richard. So this new one, Vigilantes, I don't mean to commandeer the whole space here.
No, that's it. You're the guest. I want you to talk about this. The thing that a lot of times happens is, let me put it in a positive light. What Greg's body of work, and we'll just say the last 20 years, has been to affect the conversation around voting and voter suppression and taking somebody's car, vote, if you will. So I want you to talk about this because a lot of people aren't aware, and they should be watching your documentaries, not just the current Vigilante, but also your previous work, because for the last 20 years, you've been the man in this space. I mean, that's what calling it as it is. I got to ask you a question, and then I'm going to let you talk back about Vigilante. So you said earlier, the rest of the world, you were referencing no place else other than the United States has this issue, has this ism. Why is that? Why doesn't London? Why doesn't the UK? Why doesn't France? Why doesn't Belgium? And I could just draw countries out of the top of my head. Why don't they have this problem?
You know that we just won the Prague Film Festival Award for best movie, not just best documentary. Best
Congratulations.
Movie. Thank you. This past week. Prague. They thought that a show about black people being shafted out of their vote was a great movie, top movie, but why isn't that here? No, we will be we've won the Urban Film Festival Award, but you know what the word urban means. And it's like the Congressional Black Caucus is going to show Vigilantes Inc. in Washington. My question is, why not the Congressional White Caucus? So, it's like that's where the votes are. Why am I winning awards in Prague and France and England? When this is our nation.
Right.
And so this has been, so the rest of the world, just like I say, BBC, I'm on the top of the nightly news. I'm not this guy in the corner of the internet as I am here. You can always, by the way, go to gregpalast.com if you want to get that all my newsletters, sign up. But, so the rest of the world is fascinated by America's lack of democracy because they're shocked because America's always trying to sell democracy. And they say, and then it's the answer from Europeans is good idea. Why don't you try it?
Yeah. The bastion of democracy is getting awards and for things that it's not particularly very democratic about.
Right.
And so, those awards, I should say, are happening in other, or recognitions are happening in other parts of the world. So, Greg, talk a little bit about what brought you to put together this next great work, Vigilantes Inc., America's new vote suppression hitmen.
Major Gamaliel Turner. Okay. Career military officer, one of America's top experts on what's called warfare of the future. African-American career military officer. His vote was blocked. He was not allowed to vote in the 2020 election.
Okay.
When I got that, and I found him, our team found him, our great director, David Ambrose, and what happened was his vote was challenged by a vigilante vote challenger. This is brand new. It just started in Georgia. And 88 Republican officials, I'm not being partisan, I'm nonpartisan as a reporter, but it's 88 Republican officials, not government officials, just self-appointed vigilante vote hunters, challenged 180,000 Georgians and said, don't let them vote. Now, how do you...
Wait,
what?
180,000
That's right.
Georgians?
Yes.
Were challenged by, you said 88?
Yeah, so what happened is one...
Just random folks.
So one guy, the chairman of the Republican Party in southern Georgia...
Okay.
He's using an old Jim Crow law, which exists in almost every state on the books in America, but never gets used, which says that I can say, Greg Palast can say, Richard Chu does not live in Chicago. Don't let him vote. Don't count his ballot. Now, who am I to say that? Am I a government official? No, I'm just a vigilante deciding I'm going to enforce the law myself and stop someone from voting. And they took this for a test drive in Georgia, which is where they always start. And so this one guy challenged 4,000 voters. He just handed in a list he got from one of Trump's front groups called True the Vote out of Texas. Anyway, he handed in a list. He didn't even look at the list and said, don't let these 4,000 voters vote. Now, who was targeted?
Black men.
Black soldiers at Fort Benning. Their trick was, if you are a soldier assigned by the commander-in-chief to another base temporarily, or you're sent to Iraq or Afghanistan, then they say, oh, you're not living in Georgia. Well, guess what? Soldiers are allowed to vote if they're assigned. They get an absentee ballot.
Right.
A special soldier's absentee ballot,
which they're trying to fuss with now in terms of the military men and women serving out of the country.
Yeah.
That their votes not be allowed to be counted unless they're at the I can't think of the word right now. Unless they're back in the States, if you will.
Yes. Well,
on the day of the election.
Yes. So what was happening is this guy challenged all these African American soldiers who were assigned to other bases. And by the way, again, a soldier can get an absentee ballot, even if they're a black soldier. They're allowed to have a ballot. That's, believe it or not. And so Turner told me, and you'll see him on camera. He says, he calls up the county offices and says, where's my ballot? Mm-hmm. And they said, well, Mr. Turner, you've been challenged. He says, what do you mean I've been challenged? This is not a government. By whom? This is someone, they wouldn't tell him who, we found out, challenge your vote. And he said, wait, you're telling me, and they said, no problem, just come in to our offices and prove you're a citizen. And he said, wait, you're telling me 2 days before an election, all I have to do is fly 2,700 miles to go to your office to prove that I am a American citizen again?
So why did he have to fly 2,700 miles?
Because they said, because he was challenged, and the only way he could get out of the challenge was by showing up physically at their offices. He says, I can get out. I'm an officer. I'm a top guy. I can. So you know what? So he actually went to federal court in Georgia. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, he did fly 5,000 miles round trip. He had to get a judge to grant him the right to give him a ballot and have it counted. By the way, this is about 2 months after the election he got his ballot counted. And the other 4,000 soldiers, he tried to get their ballots counted. They said, nope. He flew in. The others couldn't. They lost their vote. And this is one guy. Now, this guy, you'll see in the film, dresses up like a vigilante. You might think he's a goofball, but remember, he's chairman of the Republican Party in southern Georgia. And he dresses up with cowboy boots, cowboy hats. He's got a 6-gun, pearl-handled vigilante 6-gun. He likes to play the part of Doc Holliday, the vigilante from the OK Corral, who was a Georgian, by the way. The reason he ended up at the OK Corral, he fled Georgia after he gunned down like 3 black men in cold blood.
Right.
And that's why he left. And so this guy dressed up like a vigilante, and he made sure that we knew that that his gun was loaded. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you'll see in the film we're filming him, and we say, do you know whose home you're in? No. He said, meet your host. Major Turner who flew in from California.
So that's why Major Turner had to fly. Okay, he was in California, had to fly back to Georgia to physically go in and show that he was a resident of California. I mean,
a resident of Georgia and a citizen. And so then he flew back again to confront the guy who challenged him. He comes out of the kitchen, sits down. I said, "Do you know this man?" And I said, "No, this is Major Turner. He flew in from California to say hello to you. Mm-hmm. And you're in his house. Mm-hmm. And this is the house where you said he didn't live.
Wow.
And you took away his vote. You took away his vote. Do you want to apologize to this man?" That's because Turner just said, "I just want him to apologize." Say I didn't know what I was doing. No, he refused to apologize. And he said, "Well, I don't really understand the system." I said, "But you knocked off 4,000 people." And then we were a little bit scared because he has a loaded gun, and the major, his only weapon is he had designed a new anti-tank rocket launcher, and it was kind of a bit, I thought that'd be overkill. Literally.
Wow.
It was in his kitchen. And I shouldn't say that. And then there was another woman you'll see in a red dress who, she personally challenged 32,000 voters. Here's the problem. This year, in 2024, they've gone from 88 vigilante challengers to 40,000 challengers who've signed up for this vigilante vote. And as of 2 months ago, they had already challenged 851,000 voters, and you can guess their color.
And what states?
43 states. So they concentrate in the swing states of Georgia, Arizona, Texas, which is a swing state if you let black people vote, in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan. So that's where they're concentrating. And that's why I tell people two things. Number one, you can see the film for gratis, for nothing. Thank you, Leonardo DiCaprio. He launched a website called Save Your Vote with a Y, your vote. Don't save Richard's vote, my vote, our vote. SaveYourVote.org. You can stream the film for free, but even more important, the top button says check your registration.
Yeah.
And that's important. And then the other thing is, watch the movie once and watch it again. Reverend Jackson is inviting you down to Rainbow Push. He's already seen the film, but he wants to see it again and show it again. And that'll be Monday at 6 p.m. at Rainbow Push at 50th and Drexel. We'll see you there. We'll have our discussion about how we're going to save our sorry nation. And if you are listening in Wisconsin, I'll be in Madison on Thursday evening at 7 p.m.
Today is the 16th.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's Thursday the 17th. There we go. So, Greg, listen, I know you're super busy. On Wednesdays, we have a gentleman call in. He's one of our regulars. His name is Kurt Mullett, and he does a lot of work on social media. Hoosier Blue 63. He's in a town that is it's a small, rural, mostly red town in Indiana. So he's doing the work in a community that isn't particularly. I see your face, boys.
We have our wonderful assistant producer here, Patrice Gallagher, of Chicago.
Patrice's face is like paused when we said Central Indiana. But anyhow, if you can stick around for a few minutes, I'd like for Kurt he's on the line. I'd like him to be with us in terms of the conversation because he's very plugged in and highly informed of what's happening. And I'm sure he'll appreciate having a moment to meet with you. But first, what we're going to do, let's take a quick break. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 join us with our in-studio guest, Greg Palast, 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
It's Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. Cannot get enough of Greg Palast, but for the time being, we're gonna bring onto the show our weekly friend, our Wednesday friend, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Hey Kurt, good morning and welcome to the show.
Hey, Richard, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I thank you for your malleability this morning in being able to adjust your time. But we've got Greg still in studio, and I wanted to have you on kind of at the same time so you could say hi to this wonderful guy and this wonderful work that he's doing. And if you have a question for Greg, I'll let you fire away. But welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, and I appreciate this opportunity. And Mr. Palast, I'm humbled to be able to chop some words up with you, man.
Thank you so much.
I respect the work that you do, and your documentary, I watched it twice so far, and it touches me in a way that a lot of people where I live, can't relate with and can't relate to. So I just want to thank you for that. And, just a little bit about me and how this affected me when I first watched it is that I spent nearly 20-some years of my life as a Civil War reenactor and a living historian. So the beginning of your documentary took me back to a place that I hadn't been for a while. And, when I did it, when I was a reenactor, I wasn't one of these guys that had all the fancy accoutrements and the big tent and everything. I was a dude that went as a private and to pay respect to my ancestors who fought for the Union Army. And so when that story starts and the way you tell it, again, took me back to a place I hadn't been for a long time. So I just want to thank you for that and let you know that there are progressive white liberals in central Indiana. So, we do exist. We're not dinosaurs. We're here.
Thank you so much for your very kind words about Vigilantes Inc., my movie, and the check's in the mail. Thank you. Because I couldn't have I had no idea you'd seen the movie twice already. And everyone can join me. Man. Yeah, so join Jesse Jackson in watching. He wants to watch it again, but of course he invites everyone to join him at Rainbow Push on Monday at 6 p.m. And that's a plug. But the film, by the way, if you missed earlier, just came in with our caller, is called Vigilantes Inc., America's New Vote Suppression Hitmen, and it opens up with a lady in red screaming at me, another Republican Party official. But then we go to the Civil War reenactment, where you meet some of these people who, as far as they're concerned, they're not reenacting nothing. They're practicing. It's not the reenactors themselves, by the way, who are actually good people who they're not there for the politics. But the people watching in the South are looking at this the one single battle that the rebels, that the insurrectionists won in the Civil War. That's what they were reenacting at Ricasa. Their one victory before they burnt Atlanta to the ground. So thank you so much for your kind words. Go ahead.
So Greg has an article that's coming out, Kurt, that I want him to talk a little bit about, and a couple of dates that are happening that really are going to be impactful on this upcoming election. So, Greg, chat a little bit about what's happening in December that you want to talk about.
Yes, well, put down in your calendar, there will be riots on December 11th and probably again on December 17th. That's the new January 6th. Because under January 6th, when Trump invited people to his illegal operation to shut down Congress, and by the way, it was Trump who gave the order to have Alex Jones lead a march to the Capitol, which was illegal. But it was too late, January 6th, to stop the vote. But December 11th in the United States Constitution, go to gregpalast.com, get the full article, gregpalast.com, is on December 11th is called National Ascertainment Day. You remember that from your civics class from it's in Article 2 of the Constitution, man. What that says is if you don't get if the state does not send the names of the winning electors to the Electoral College, you don't lose your electoral votes. Now, what state would want to do that? Well, how about in Georgia? Governor Brian Kemp, who's now kissed and made up with Agent Orange, that state, Arizona, you have a lot of Republican-controlled legislatures and governors and others and secretaries of state who, if Harris pulls off a victory in their states, will simply not certify the vote. Now, one way to stop the certification is literally to riot so that officials can't get to their offices. They literally can't get it out. And that's their excuse. Oh, we can't, in the middle of all this rioting, we can't submit our names. Or on the 17th, the Electoral College actually meets that in each state capital,
right,
and votes. So what they would try to do is riot so that people, you have National Guard, you have Molotov cocktails, you have all the stuff that was happening in the Capitol on January 6th, but it will now happen in state capitals on the 17th to prevent those electors from walking into their capitals and voting for Kamala Harris.
They'll do a version, Kurt, and for the rest of you guys, of what they tried to pull in Michigan during COVID, which is where they had militia show up. If a militia is going to show up to go after FEMA in the hurricane areas right now, you can darn well believe that Greg's not being hyperbolic in saying that they will show up at state capitals, respectively, to the armed militia to block electors from getting into their place of activity.
Well, here's the scary thing. Remember, Trump pardoned the felon Roger Stone, the dirty trickster. He's the guy who organized what was called the Brooks Brothers riot in 2000. Yeah, in 2000, when Bush was running against Gore. And remember, Bush won the presidency by 527 votes out of Florida. And what they did was Roger Stone directed a riot. Literally, they had it all set up. There was a signal from a Republican congressman who was in the voting office in Miami. And here's these $600 an hour lobbyists who are rioting, smashing windows, trying to break through doors. The people counting the votes were scared to death, so they shut down the vote in Miami. If they had continued for one more hour, Al Gore would be president. They stopped it through a riot. These are lawyers, congressmen that were rioting.
And they are here's the thing about what Greg is saying. They're far less, they were far less organized then. And they didn't have a track to understand what they could do in terms of distraction and destruction. They have that now. And that's why December 11th and December 17th are such important dates, and why we have to take that seriously. Because I hate to put it this way, but they're more organized, and they've got a little bit more vim and vigor in their ability to get stuff done this time around.
Well, they are more organized for violence. So Roger Stone was pardoned by Donald Trump and let out of prison, this criminal, and he immediately joined as a leader of the Proud Boys. He is all... Why does he get out of prison to direct the Proud Boys unless it's for violence?
Right.
It's their only... They're not a get out the vote organization, the Proud Boys.
No, they're a let's get the vote stopped organization.
Yes.
They are their own vigilantes.
So that's why. So again, I'm pushing you to go to Save Your Vote, not Save My Vote, not Save Our Vote, SaveYourVote.org. The first button is check your registration. You can also get other information how to save your vote if you run into trouble. We have numbers for flying teams of lawyers to help you out, but also, this was set up launched for us by Leonardo DiCaprio, who's the son of my producer, George DiCaprio. So there's a familial thing going on, but he really believes in helping us out.
He's doing the work.
And you can watch the film Vigilante, stream it for free at SaveYourVote.org, SaveYourVote.org, and then meet me and Reverend Jackson. We'll discuss it all and show the film again on Monday night at 6 p.m. at Rainbow Push 50th in Drexel. I keep doing that ad because I want people... By the way, I want you to go and respect Reverend Jackson, who is... We recognize his career and his life.
Yep, he's impacted more people than you probably realize if you stop and think
Millions.
About your ability to vote, and the list goes on and on. But a couple things as we wrap up. Greg's going to have the screening on the 17th. In Madison at the Barrymore Theater. He's going to be back here in Chicago at Rainbow Push, 930 East 50th Street, which is 50th and Drexel here in Chicago. And then he will be in Atlanta on Friday the 25th, airing his great new documentary, Vigilantes Inc., America's New Suppression Hitmen. Check it out online anywhere in the country. You guys got to follow this. You got to be informed. get yourselves ready. These next 90 days are going to be, the next 3 weeks are going to be a push, and then the days that come after that are going to be an ongoing push. Greg, it's been great having you with us. Kurt, thanks for chiming in. I know it was a little bit of a adjusted morning, Wednesday morning, but thank you for being with us today. And hey,
my pleasure.
Greg, you should know Kurt does great work where he is in Indiana. He's got a great following. He puts out wonderful content on social media, and he and I just sort of organically connected, and now he has been a great partner to have in the work that we do here. So, Greg, thank you for being with us, and we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to grab quick calls before we wrap up today's show. 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views as we wrap up 773-763-9278. I won't promise I'm going to get to everybody's calls. I apologize, we got short time, so I want you to call back tomorrow so we can definitely take your call. But really quick, guys, hit this really fast. Let's go very quickly to Al in Franklin Park. Al, real quickly, what's going on?
Good morning, Richard. I wanted to say a little bit more about your website, and that if you go to Heartland Signal and we click on your face and we get to the same place that you were talking about, and if you scroll down past all the interviews that are there, that are all the great interviews, and you get to the daily show, you can look at yesterday's show. They got the last 2 weeks or so up on this new server, and you can click in the upper right-hand corner on the arrow, and it will say copy, and you can copy from there a link to share your show. And even better yet, what's that?
No, and be able to share it, like we always say, with other folks that are out there.
Yes, and even better yet, if you play the show to the point you want to share, like yesterday you had Allison Joe on for a little bit, or her clip, and then on the upper left-hand corner it says play from this time. When you click that, now when you copy your share, that's where it's going to start playing with that link that you share wherever you want to.
There you go. We told you we were working on making it better, Al. So we appreciate the lesson for the listeners, and we're doing everything we can to make not only the shows better, but the station and heartlandsignal.com a stronger site. So, Al, we got to bounce because I'm trying to squeeze in as many people as I can today. So, thank you for the call and the quick lesson on our new website's functionality. Thanks, Al.
Okay.
All right. Be well.
Sure.
All right. Bye now. Okay. Let's see. Let's go real quickly to Bruce. Bruce, welcome to the show. Good morning. Got to make it quick.
Good morning, Richard. Quick question is, why don't we get a group of people together to call in and question the eligibility of the vigilantes, 40,000 vigilantes? Get them thrown off of the voting.
Look at you moving to the front of the class. I thought the same thing when Greg said that, exactly the same thing. I don't know the answer to that. Greg may have some comments on that, and we'll probably save that for another day. But yeah, that's definitely, Bruce, a great point. And you get to move to the front of the class as well. Because would there be a thought? I mean, Greg, would there be a thought that there is that happening?
Yes. Well, what's happening is that the voting rights groups.
Bruce, thanks for your call.
Was like Black Voters Matter Fund, NAACP. They said, as people who suffered vote suppression, we're not going to suppress anyone's vote, no matter how evil they are. However, one thing what would be a darn good idea is to sue these vigilantes that made false claims against people, defamed them, took away their civil rights. If each of these vigilantes who thinks it's cute to challenge thousands of people at a time without having any idea who they're challenging, except that they know they're Democrats and black people, is sue them. How about make them pay $30,000 for a lawyer to defend what their evil actions?
Right.
So I'm going to talk to to Gerald Griggs, head of the NAACP down there, about taking that direct action. But none of the groups said we will not tolerate challenging any voter. We don't care how evil they are.
Because that's its own form of suppression, depending on how it's laid out.
We are the victims. We're not going to victimize someone else.
Bingo. Let's go real quickly to Maurice real quickly. Maurice, make it quick, my man. We know we got to bounce around today. What's happening?
Good morning. I was saying that I was trying to give Kamala Biden credit for giving $6 billion to Israel to blow the hell out of the Muslims in Gaza. Want to give her credit for the health care. They reached a milestone, 19 million black babies aborted. I find that unfathomable. Unquestionably, that's a great thing.
We're not going to do that this morning, guys. Sorry about that. When someone when they're not truthful on what they say they want to talk about, we get rid of the call. So sorry, Maurice. Try that at a different place. Let's go to Gregory real quickly. Greg, I hope you're on point this morning. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I lived in Germany for a year, spread out over 5 years, and I had a light bulb moment listening to you gentlemen this morning because I frowned upon the left. I'm not condoning this. I don't want to get in trouble, but I understand why the left in Europe and even some of our left here in America feel the need to have street battle capability to block the right-wing fascist-type forces because of their historical and institutional knowledge of what can happen when they're allowed to run amok on the streets. And that is something that they take on themselves to block them when we can't rely on our government to get the National Guard and the police in position necessarily. But I would like to tease this out a little bit more with your perspective, and I'll let you go and talk to you later.
All right, Greg, thanks for calling. All right, let's see if we can squeeze in very quickly David from San Francisco. David, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Richard. And to answer the last caller, and this is what I would have asked Greg. If you know Greg's history, he studied the Exxon Valdez spill. He was one of the economists that worked on trying to, get proper restitution for a disaster like that. So now in North Carolina, where they're trying to chase away FEMA, if you've got an insurance policy, say like you're a landowner in North Carolina, you're chasing away aid, your insurance policy is going to crash.
Yep.
And I'm going to bet, you're in the Chicago economics board of trade. Maybe ask around, see if some group of people, a whole county, decides to chase away aid, that would diminish the value of their local bonds. It would ruin the economy just by chasing away aid.
David, this is all about one thing, and thank you for that little bit of added information. We're going to try to finish out our calls. Thank you, David, as always, from San Francisco. It's all about one thing: getting Donald Trump reelected. They're going to play any tricks, like Greg said, December 11th and December 17th. We don't want those to be new days that live in infamy because of what happens with these riots and these, militia posting up at state capitals, respectively. Let's go one last call. Let's go to Michael here in Chicago. Michael, thanks and welcome to the show.
Okay, I think we have trouble funding our schools now in Chicago. We should use the excess TIF funds and the 3% tax on millionaires to fund our bills. TIF means tax incremental funding district. We should not take out a high interest loan. We should not raise the property tax. We should use the excess TIF funds. There's $1 billion in there, and the 3% tax on millionaires. We could vote on a referendum on the 3% tax on millionaires on this election, November. It's on the ballot. It's on the ballot in Illinois.
Great point.
On the excess TIF funds, Brandon, he used $450 million in TIF funds for his first year in office. He used $450 in TIF funds for the schools and the city. He'd just do it again. There's a precedent for this. There's no big problem here.
Got it.
We need progressive taxes, not regressive taxes.
Good point, Michael. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the contribution. And, of course, thank you for your call. Wow. Track meet. Almost ran out of gas. It's been great having Greg Palast in studio with us this morning, hasn't it, Henry? I tell you, I mean, this is when we have someone in studio, it's a different vibe because you see how many folks we have calling in. But the movie, guys, is Vigilantes Inc. I'm going to put it up on the camera. America's new vote suppression hitmen. Check it out. You can Google Greg Palast. That's probably the easiest thing I can tell you rather than trying to read all the information. Just Google Greg Palast. His information will pop up, and you'll have a chance to see not only this latest film, but other work that he's done in this space. And get active, and then stay active. Find some other people to get active with you and keep them active. This fight is not over, guys, when we win on November 5th. In fact, some people will say, and Greg will probably support this, it's just going to get started after we get the tally. So know that we've got work to do up until Inauguration Day. And then a new fight begins with helping the newly elected president, Kamala Harris, and Governor Walz get the work done that they need to have done. They need a Senate. They need a House that's functioning. They need state legislatures to receive the goods that they're going to be working to get to the states to help improve the states. And we need governors who are working to move their state forward, which means they're moving the country forward. That's the fight, guys. We cannot forget that. We cannot think that this ends on November 5th. It does not. The work continues, and that's where we have got to maintain our strength and continue to do what we do. Greg, great to be with you. Great to have you with us, I should say. It's an honor as always, and we appreciate you being on Choose Views this morning.
I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, guys, 773-763-9278 is our number. Catch us tomorrow. And as always, as I say at the end of every show, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll be back tomorrow.